everybody's probably wanting to hear how the spring season ended up, and I just recording this on the 18th, so the season just concluded last week in the North Zone, the very last day, and happy to report it was a really good season for us in terms of harvest totals. So the preliminary total for this spring was 16,122 birds. So we haven't hit that 16,000 number in a really long time. And in fact, this harvest total was the highest we've seen since 2010. So really, really big year, especially coming off of 2 years that were relatively low or below average. 2020, we saw a pretty good spike. And that had a lot to do with a lot of folks having nothing better to do, during the lockdown phase, but to get out and go turkey hunting. So we even beat that season out this year, which is pretty cool. So most counties in the state saw a pretty good increase when compared to the last couple of years. And what is also interesting and promising is permit sales were actually fewer. We sold fewer permits than we have in the last couple of years, which just means that success rates were up. So we saw, if you just take all the total harvest and compare it to total number of permits sold, we're right at about 20% success rate, which when you do that math, total harvest to total permits, that's a pretty good success rate. You have to factor in that also includes the youth hunters, and it also includes the landowner permits, which landowner permits, especially for Illinois residents, are free. And so we have a tough time kind of measuring a landowner's effort in terms of anything they hunt, but particularly like deer and turkey, because they don't have to. They just get them for free. You sign up. You have one form and say, hey, you just check some boxes and you get those permits. Whereas you or I have to apply, and the permits are only good for so many days, a certain season segment and all that. So when I typically report success rates, it's usually, I just use the regular season. I think it's a little better metric. But we just finished the season, so these numbers are still a little preliminary. I haven't run them through the term cleanup process. So that number 16,122 could change a little bit, but for the most part, it'll stay right there. So yeah, good season. I guess I can look at the top 5 counties for harvest. We had Joe Davies coming in with 595 birds harvested. Then Jefferson with 487, Pike with 419, Pope with 379, and Randolph County with 370. So, and all those counties saw increases compared to the last, 2, 3, 4 years. So
that's great. Do you have any idea what's that attributed to?
Well, there's two main factors that go into any harvest total. Number one is hunter effort, and so we think that hunter effort was pretty good this year, because we had, as far as if you just look at the whole county, or I'm sorry, the whole state, we had really good hunting weather, and that really plays into it, especially those first season segments in the North Zone and the South Zone. They really kind of set the bar on how the whole season's going to go. That's when a good chunk of our birds are harvested, is in those first season segments. And so, yeah, we just had just phenomenal weather, really statewide, as far as hunting weather. We didn't see a big black fly pulse where those were they're most prevalent in western and west central Illinois, like we do some years. They've been out the last couple of weeks, but this year we operate opening day based on a rule of thumb, and so South Zone starts the first Monday after April 2nd, and North Zone is the second Monday after April 2nd. And so this year was the earliest turkey season could be, and so that allows us to miss a lot of that black fly pulse that really drives down participation in the fourth and always the fifth season, but sometimes the fourth season too is when they are usually seen. So yeah, weather had a lot to do with it. And just, every year we're seeing pretty steady permit sales. We were down in permit sales from the last couple of years, but we're still selling more than we ever did historically, and we are seeing more non-residents come in and purchase permits. So some of it is just permit sales and a big interest in turkey hunting. But then a lot of it is that weather, and folks could get out more days and enjoy the weather. But another very important factor that we shouldn't overlook is I think there are more birds on the landscape this year. We've seen through our brood survey is our best metric of reproductive output in turkeys. We've seen a relatively steady increase since we had a pretty low year in 2019. They've been steadily increasing. So I'd like to think, more birds on the landscape and more hunters enjoying their time in the great outdoors, combined to give us a really solid year in harvest.